Okay, so I would like to commence. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this meeting on Archibald firefighter wage increase and benefits resolution. Our purpose this afternoon is to come to an agreement that would settle this case. File for the purpose of the City of Archibald and Archibald Firefighters Association. We're meeting this day, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2020. We have a number of participants and we have available 15 minutes for each delegation. I would like to call for Mr. Jeremy Leblanc, Mayor of Archibald. Please give us your name for the record.
Thank you, Mrs. Chair. As you have said, my name is Jeremy Leblanc, the Mayor of the City of Archibald. I'm joined today by our City Fire Chief, Mrs. Kaydene Cambell, and her union representative, Mr. Harrison Weinstein. I believe you have all received the emails and the material that we will go over this session today. Thank you for the time, Mrs. Chair. Now, I would like to talk to you a bit, give you a little bit of a background upon our city. The city of Archibald is a small community in the southern part of Eastern Ontario, close to the border of Detroit. We have a population of about 100,000 residents. We do have a lot of tourists during the summer as we're so close to the United States border. Therefore, the region stipulates that fire emergency service are a municipal matter, and as our council take that responsibility very seriously. We have a very qualified city fire chief, Mrs. Kaydene Cambell, who manage a number of full-time and part-time staff. At this time, have all the figures in detail as per to our city fire department. Therefore, I would like to redirect the question to our city firefighter chief, Mrs. Cambell.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here. We currently have a full-time fire prevention officer, a public education officer, 2 support staff, around 250 firefighters, and 1 fire college master facilitator trainer, and 16 facilitator trainers. However, the large geographical area possesses some very interesting challenges, as you know. And in order to ensure proper level of service and reasonable response time, we currently have a total of 18 stations for a population of 100,000 residents, plus give or take probably another 20,000 tourists during the summer period. In our inventory, it's quite significant. We have 20 triple combination pumpers, 14 pumper rescue vehicles, 2 pumper aerial trucks, 2 rescue squad units, 12 water tankers, 6 pump tankers, 2 command lighting units, and 4 mechanical units. And we are very fortunate to have all of these available at our service.
Thank you, Chief Cambell. Mayor LeBlanc, thank you for your account of telling us about Archibald and the community. And Chief Cambell, I understand you've retained Mr. Harrison Weinstein as your local union rep, acting for Archibald's fire department. Please present your application and request in detail for the record, Mr. Harrison.
Of course. Thank you so much, Ms. Chair. So the City of Archibald is past the end of its labor agreement with the firefighters union. Unfortunately, we did not come to an agreement, which is why we're all here today. We asked for a 15% increase over the course of 3 years, provision for early retirement, and full income protection for the firefighters' long-term disability insurance from an injury resulting on the job. The union justifies this position based on the higher wages and benefits of firefighters in nearby Toronto and neighboring cities. We would like to approach pay parity with Toronto firefighters, with the Toronto firefighters, and bridge the gap between the disparity between the fire department, the police department. And most importantly, a point I want to get across here is that the firefighters are seeking a rational income increment. So the 15 points over 3 years, in this interest dispute, the workers' expectations are reasonable. They're in line with the rise in cost of living, inflationary pressure, and the economic trends. So I would like to just pause there and give my time back to the chair and allocate that elsewhere.
Thank you, Mr. Weinstein. Mayor Leblanc, what position has the city taken?
First of all, the city did not want to initially refuse the fire department offer, but to be perfectly honest, we tried pulling out the records and try to find me a city within Ontario, not just Canada, who has given a 5% increase for 3 years to any municipal service when the current normal average is about 2 to 3% a year. Therefore, it's being a little bit unreasonable from the fire department side, asking from that amount when it's never been done prior to this date if it would pass today. Furthermore, due to the current pandemic, provincial and federal budget deficit, the municipalities and our city itself, Archibald, is anticipating government cuts on non-essential road and infrastructure work coming up within the next couple months, year or two. Means we currently are trying to reduce our budget, not increase it. If you can cope with me on this. Furthermore, the city has just levied all taxes payment for September 2020. That means we have not collected any taxes since then. Furthermore, I just got out of a meeting with my city officials suggesting that we levy all taxes all the way up to December 2020, which means the city of Archibald will not have collected any taxes for the year 2020 till 2021. This means we are running on the city coffers. The money is coming out of our pocket, and it is no secret that taxes from individual and business is the main source of income for a city. Furthermore, to get on a more direct approach, the city of Archibald have the utmost respect for his city firefighters, fire department, and his chief, Mrs. Campbell. However, the fire department already accounts for the biggest budget in the city. It is no secret that firefighters are also the highest paid city officials and city employees. Most paid in police officers, paramedic, bus drivers, waters and sewers, individual maintenance, waste collection, and disposal, etc. They are already the highest paid. Now, and they also have a nice job. In Archibald itself, just like across all of Ontario, the normal shift sometimes is 12 hours, but us we work on 24-hour shift, which means you work one 24-hour day shift, you got 3 to 4 days off in between. In that time, while they're on duty, they can exercise, meditate, watch television, sleep, perform hobbies, all while getting paid. Most firefighters that I know 2 jobs since they have 3 to 4 days in between shift. Like they're not just going to work 2 days a week. So I believe it is, excuse me for this, I believe they already have a great job. Hence, yes, since we can all agree that they already have a great, high-paying and secure job. Like their job is not going anywhere. The city is not planning on cutting any position anytime soon. We're planning on agreeing on all the new position that we will have in the future. This is why the city was comfortable that currently the offers at 2.5% for the next 2 years is very agreeable, just because the city of Montreal has recently settled on June 1st, 2020 of this year, for a 6.4% increase for all of its city's official, which means the Montreal police, all its firefighters, and all the rest of the service that comes with it, bus drivers, at 6.4% for 3 years. Now, this is less than I'm offering you. This is about 2.115% a year. I'm offering 2.5.
I thought you guys had an. Is it okay, Ms. Chair, if I just say a couple things here?
Yes, I was going to ask you your position on behalf of the fire union. So
Yeah.
please
So
proceed.
So I mean, this is directed at the Monsieur Leblanc, Mayor. I was under the impression that the 2.5% was in past tense. Okay, the previous years. So
You're absolutely right. This was our initial offer.
So
after consulting
did you?
with my city directors in public safety and my other directors across the city, we came up with 3 possible offers that we feel confident offering today to the union. Our first one would be still on a 6% pay increase over a 12-month period, no benefits increase. The second one would be an increase of 8% over a 2 years period with no benefits increase whatsoever also. Third one, it's an offer that all the directors have came together with, and we feel pretty confident. You want your 15%. We're not ready to go exceptionally high over 2.5%. Therefore, we can agree to 15%. However, it won't be for 3 years. It will be for 5 years with no benefits increase.
So 3% per annum.
Per annum. That's where we're currently sitting, yes.
Okay. Ms. Chair, is it okay if I comment on that?
Yes, please. You can.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate all 3 offers. I think it's very clear that what we're asking for is fair for a few reasons, and I would just like to point out some of those reasons. You mentioned earlier that there's a pandemic going on, COVID-19. It's affected the entire globe, and you also mentioned how firefighters have a job that sometimes they're getting paid when they're not actually working. However, the firefighters are getting paid to be on call. So just because they are not actively fighting a fire, to have them ready to be dispatched, there's a value associated there. So I don't want it to be misconstrued where we're just paying these people to sit around and do nothing, which isn't easy either. Okay, I dare any of you to sit around for 24 hours a day doing nothing and see if that's easy, but that's not the case here. We're talking about 24-hour shifts that could actually be full-time work. Like there are situations, so due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the fire department is starting to see more and more calls that are not directly related to fire. So we all know we're first responder. So we're not just responding to fire, and no longer are we just responding to car accidents and things like that, but we're responding to COVID-related incidents. By responding to COVID-related incidents, the firefighters are putting themselves at risk and at higher exposure to the disease, right? To the virus. At the same time, these unusual conditions, such as these lengthy duration and inflexible schedules, like we said, sometimes running into 24 hours, the firefighters' work warrants their aspiration for higher pay. Predictably, firefighters will continue to work long shifts and put in additional work hours in tandem with the trend of escalating incidents across the city. Okay? This is a job that is physically demanding, stressful, dangerous, fast-paced, and a failure to meet these expectations would have dire outcomes on firefighters' morale, health, safety, responsiveness to emergencies, and broader public safety. So as much as those 3 offers, and again, I do really appreciate you getting us to our 15%. However, that only equates to 3% per annum. Now, if you don't mind me asking, Mr. Leblanc, do you have the data on hand for the inflation rates that Canada is seeing right now?
Yes, of course. This would actually lead me to my last point if we're talking about inflation. Canada has averaged an inflation rate for the past 3 to 4 years, an average of 2% yearly. If we go according to date, as of today, the inflation rate due to the pandemic the country sits at 0.61%, which is not even 1%, which means the cost of living and tax increase can only increase by 0.6%. 0.61%, which means an increase by 2.5% or 3%, which I already have offered, is already considerably above the current inflation rate, which will ensure that the firefighter salary remain competitive, even above the industry standards, for many years to come.
Okay, so has anyone been following the price of gold lately? Okay, yes. The price of gold is on a nice little bull run right now. Now, there's a reason for that. When we see gold and silver and precious metals going on bull runs, it's a very clear indicator that inflation rates are going to increase and that the dollar, okay, the actual Canadian dollar is going to be devalued. So right now, I appreciate it that you're offering 6% in 1 year, which is roughly 6 times the inflation rate, more than 6 times the inflation rate, 8% over 2 years, because you can't give up 8% in one, so you spread it out, still over the inflation rate. However, we're not taking into consideration the trillions of dollars that are being injected into the economy, and there's too many unanswerable questions, too many uncertainties for the fire department. I'm representing the fire department, but as a citizen and just as a human being, these questions, it's very scary that we don't know the answers to. So post-pandemic and post-trillions of dollars being injected into the economy, who knows what the inflation rate going to be, the cost of living is going to be. There's most likely going to be a very, very negative impact on the economy and on the cost of living post-corona. So aggregate demand, the workers are going to lose income if they don't work and opportunities to consume if they are confined. Aggregate supply, businesses cannot and will not produce without workers or orders, right? So that's the rest of those are the businesses, the corporate businesses. But this is in turn going to affect CPI and in turn the GDP. So what we're asking for is reasonable because we're not looking at this short-sighted. We're looking at this with a much longer view here. So that's why it wasn't 15% over 10 years or 6 years or 5 years. It was 15% over 3 to take into consideration some of these uncertainties that are going to come into play. The wages sought, in my opinion, and in the opinion of Kaydene and her colleagues, is realistic and tenable in view of general wage trends across the industry, mounting expectations for efficiency and effectiveness, selflessness among firefighters. And this is something we're going to have to find a way to get in the middle, because we are not going to take less than 15 without finding some sort of middle ground here. So if, we have to find a win-win situation, that's what we're here for. We couldn't do it earlier in the negotiations, but we are here to negotiate to get to a win-win situation. I've already,
Mr. Weinstein.
Well, before I make an offer, I just want to point out some key issues, because I think I do have a little bit of time left. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Chair. Please stop me if I need to stop. But an additional challenge for the municipality, Kaydene and I went back and forth, and it was made very clear that there were 300 fires, okay, in the last 12 months, 97 vehicular accident rescues, 300 911 calls, 300 rescues and entrapments. This doesn't even include fire safety educational programs, fire inspection programs, fire prevention programs. These people are putting their lives at risk every minute, and they deserve fairness and equity and pay parity with other cities, okay? So something that I would be willing to offer, all right, is 4.25% over 3 years, equating to a 12.75% increase overall, with retaining our benefits at 100%. And I would like to pass my time to the chair and the mayor.
Thank you for the economic lesson there. We have to compromise, Chief Campbell. And we recognize the dedication and sacrifices on demand responses to calls from your fellow firefighters. They put their own lives at risk for the safety of others all the time. A noble act that cannot put a value on. You are very close, Mayor and Mr. Weinstein, and I'm sure this impasse can be breached. You know, City of Archibald's offer is 6% for 1 year, or 4% for 2 years, or 15% for 5 years. So in fairness to both, you put forward this recommendation to meet in between my recommendation is 4% an annual wage increase per annum for 3 years. And that would come close to your request of 15%, 12%. And it does not compromise the City of Archibald's budget because it's under the budget since they already agreed to give you 6% per year. So I know it won't affect this year's fiscal budget. And I propose then, since that would be the right way to go without having to affect an increase in the city's budget, and it is close to what you're going to get, what you're asking for. I think there is a compromise on the firefighters' behalf of only 1%, but the increase is over 3 years, which means the incremental gain is in favor of the firefighters. So it sort of writes itself off, right? So there's actually a gain. And I think that's a fair recommendation to the city and to the union. It is not a compromise for the city because they already have the money budgeted. And, you know, for the union, you actually, if we take into consideration the 3 years that your 4% will increase, you will end up actually getting close to the 15%, if not.
Yes, but what about the benefits here? Can the mayor and Kaydene perhaps go back about the benefits, because this is something where it's going to get a little tricky. I understand once again that this needs to be a win-win, right? So we're not here requesting money just for the sake of requesting money. There's valid reasoning behind it: the pandemic, the stresses, the overworking of the employees, the potential inflation, and the potential uncertainties of the future post-pandemic. Something else I wanted to bring up, and you know, Mr. Mayor, you're very right. You know, a city like Montreal got 6%, which is a much bigger city than Archibald. We're also looking at cities that are less populated than Archibald. Brockville, Ontario, was able to get 14.24% over 6 years. So it comes out to, if my math is not mistaken, I won't even let it mistake. 14.24 divided by 6, so that's 2.37%. About 2. You didn't use the calculator, Mayor. You got that in your head? I used the calculator, so please excuse the lack of quick math. But what I do know for certain is that, as you mentioned, there are some cities getting less. There are some cities getting more. Let's find a way to meet in the middle here. Let's find a way to walk away from this where you can go continue with your run for you know, you're running again for mayor, and you've offered the people a tax reduction. So I understand with the delays of tax payments, with a tax reduction, you might not be able to meet the 15%, but if we can come in at 4% per annum for 3 years, like Lilian was elaborating on, equaling 12%, is there anything else that you would need from us, or can we settle at that?
No, it's definitely, like I said, 4% is still way too high for the city. Other cities such as Brampton.
So what do you need from us? What do you want us to do? What do we need to give to you? You want a truck back?
I cannot start taking away toys and equipment from my fire department. They won't be too happy with me during the election.
So should we provision? Do we need to provision the benefits?
However, that was going to be my next topic. If we cannot touch the salary as is getting to be locked at 4% increase for the next 3 years, our next option to start discussing is possibly less investment into the fire department during those years, not in mean as training, but as equipment, and also maybe a little reduction into their injuries and stuff like that for their benefits.
Now, there's also the possibility, and again, this is something that might have to happen post our agreement, but I just want to let you know that the fire department and the union is ready to keep negotiations going after we come to an agreement here, because there's always a situation where we find a balance instead of reducing the staff, but have other entities respond to certain calls so that it doesn't all weigh on the fire department. So, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to speak hypothetically, but if we come to an agreement today, just know that we're still willing to keep these conversations moving forward in order to put less stress on that department and, perhaps redistribute some of the tasks to other departments. The same way we're asking for you to redistribute the funds. We know the funds are there, and it feels like we never get the full visibility, and it's kind of misleading. Maybe there's more money to compensate the firefighters than the city's leading on. Maybe there isn't. So I don't want to.
Small portion of the city service at the end of the day. We cannot allocate 50% of our budget just for fires.
All right, I have to interject. We are running out of time here, and we're not here really to discuss the operation model. That is a separate issue, okay? The city can come up with a new operation model.
Sorry.
Yeah. So we have to come back to, I have to bring you back to the discussion here, which is the case here. And I need to know if you are, Chief Campbell, if you accept the 4% wage increase for 3 years annually with a 80% disability benefits for those firefighters who are injured at work. Now, I have to tell you the law. The Canadian Workplace Standard the employees have a right. They have a basic standard right, and employees have the right to be protected. So I think that in view of that, their health benefits is the least that is part of that right that they're entitled to. So if they are injured in performance of duty, I would like that to be in the settlement in favor of the firefighters. Is that acceptable to you, Chief? Chief Campbell?
Madam Chair, while it's not what we were hoping would get, because we were hoping would get all that we requested for, I can agree that the proposal for a 4% annual increase over 3 years is acceptable. And I also believe that my colleagues will find this acceptable if there are provisions, like you said, for the 80% disability benefits for firefighters claim from injured and cure while they are at work. This is something, although it's not what we wanted, but this is a more favorable response than what the mayor has to offer. So yes, we accept.
That's great. Now, Mayor Leblanc, So I understand that this proposal actually is within your budget, and it doesn't compromise the, the political situation coming up, although that is not really the discussion here. But I think that is good if we have continuity in the future, if you were elected, that you will make sure these things are implemented, and do you agree to that, Mayor? Because, the firefighters are also your constituents, and, we have to follow the Employment Act standards. So it is a law. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mrs. Chair. My city officials and directors are going to kill me for this.
No, they won't.
As long as
The people won't. The people won't. Your voters will not.
The election, it is a proposal, it is a compromise that the city of Archibald is ready to accept. And
wonderful. That's very appreciated. I think your voters.
Let them finish.
I think your voters. Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I get excited.
Yes.
No, I was going to say that I think your voters, the people that are voting for you, they're going to appreciate that, and I believe that, as Lilian pointed out, it won't put too much stress on the fiscal budget.
I hope I won't be known as the next.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, we want continuity in difficult times. Okay, we want someone who is a veteran and not a rookie. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So you agree?
Yes, indeed. The city of Archibald agree with the offer proposed by the union.
Okay, well, that's great news. So here we have Chief Campbell, Mr. Weinstein, Mayor Leblanc. You've come to an agreement on behalf of your constituents and those you represent. Congratulations. So this is the settlement decision, which we're going to type up and you are going to sign before you leave this courtroom. The city of Archibald will implement a 4% pay increase effective the 1st of next month annually for 3 years. The next is the city of Archibald will pay the insurance premium that provides 80% disability benefits for firefighters injured in the performance of their duties. So here's the settlement agreement. It's just being typed up. Please sign this before you leave, and I need you to file with the court that it is effective next month, as the agreement is a lawful document and it must be honored. Okay. Here we can now conclude our meeting. It is now 8:28 p.m. on July 23rd. And I'm very pleased that you've come to a resolution. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Chair. Thank you, Mayor LeBlanc. Thank you, Chief Campbell. Very, very appreciated to work with you and find a terms that we can all agree on. So thank you.
Pleasure was all mine. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, I'm gonna stop. Okay, take care now.